aren't you supposed to say like episode 14, take 1? I mean,
Yes. I don't even know what episode this
it's
is.
14.
Wow, we've done 14 of these
Well,
things?
you haven't done 14, but I've done 14 of them. And one time we did the same episode 3 times because
oh my God.
it was recorded in slow motion. The sound wasn't on. I don't know.
I
those
just
Friday
consider
issues.
these like family photo album.
We're just going to shove it in our shed and never look at it.
Okay, so it's episode 14. Oh yeah, so
So I know.
topic. So I was thinking, because season's coming.
Okay, I just want you to know we have lots of gnats flying around our
There's
studio.
one gnat. There's one gnat. It's not a big
It has
deal.
followed me from
His
downstairs.
name is Nate the Gnat,
And yeah.
and it's fine.
'Cause somebody has a retail store in our building with plants.
So
We can't control gnats.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Okay, so season's coming up. What month is it? October.
The gnats on your face. Okay.
It's
Yes,
October,
it's October.
so season's coming up in PD, which is Palm Desert or Palm Springs or Rancho Mirage.
When you
all
mean
those
season's
places.
coming, I want you to elaborate because people listening have no
Oh,
idea
yeah.
what you're talking about.
So when it comes to rentals, there's short-term and there's long-term. So short-term rentals are vacation rentals and we do manage vacation rentals in the Coachella Valley. So Palm Desert, Palm Springs, Rancho Mirage, like Quinta sometimes, those areas, mainly Palm Desert, I would say. And so around October, so this is how, if agents, so let's just face it, all the agents are kind of desperate right now.
Why?
Just because the market sucks. In fact, I was riding with Chris, just for our other company, the art gallery. We have a new art gallery coming up. Chris, our curator, she said her friend called her, who's like a real estate agent, and was like, he offered her, he said, I will give you $1,500 for anyone that you could possibly send to me who wants to sell their house or I guess buy a house. But I told her, well, that should come to me first for one thing.
Correct.
Screw that guy. I don't know who he is.
Are you offering her $1,500?
Well, we'll see. We'll see how
that
good
is
her
a
leads are.
DRE violation. But
Is
okay,
it? Oh,
that's
yeah.
okay. No worries.
That was like
we
under
won't
the table
we
type
won't.
thing. But she was like, "Is that true?" She doesn't know. She's an art person. But I was like, "Yeah, no, that's true. People are pretty desperate right now." Like, although we had a listing, we just popped it on the market and we already are in escrow. So people are buying stuff.
Well, okay, let's back up. We have a listing that is
It's not
under 400,000
That's true.
in San Bernardino, which most likely
D&D property.
is it gonna be owner occupied or is it an investment property?
Probably owner occ because they had to buy down their rate. I'm gonna say it's probably owner occ.
Owner occ, and you can usually tell by the buyer. If,
I wasn't really involved. I'm
Yeah.
an assistant for that type of thing.
Okay. So, but again, it's inexpensive. So, okay. So today's Wednesday. Rates for the first time since 2000 hit 8% on a fixed 30-year fixed 8%. So
8%.
we're at
That's a
8
mighty rate.
yeah, we're at 8%, and you're going to obviously see rates that are going to be slightly lower than 8%. But the bottom line is they hit 8 today, which means they're moving upwards. The
So 10 years going up, obviously.
So the mortgage, the treasury yield surge today, we're at 8%. The housing industry is pleading and literally begging the feds to not increase the rates one more time.
Killing the market.
They're probably going to increase the rates one more time. They're probably going to increase the rates again. I mean, I think they're going to increase the rates because every time they turn around and say, oh, everything's good, then a new report comes out and says inflation has gone up, and there's still,
But this
new
just
items.
kind of hammers the point home. Agents, you have to be diversified. You cannot be a one-trick pony. You cannot only deal with you cannot only deal with listings. Can't speak. You cannot just deal with buyers. You cannot just deal with sellers. You have to be multifaceted. So, because you know what? I mean, the market does suck right now, but like I'm not that worried because I have a lot of other things going on.
No, I mean, the market sucks, and the market's going to suck for a long time. I don't. Do you follow that real estate? It's like a company that puts out. No, they put out funny memes about real estate agents
like
on
broke real estate.
broke real estate agents, and they were like real estate agents waiting for the rates to come down, and it's like they had Elton John sing some song like, it's going to be a long time, before they come down.
You shouldn't be waiting. If you're waiting for something to happen so your business can get back on track, well, you're not diversified enough. That should be a red flag.
Well, and there's a good chance the rates never come back down. I mean,
True.
We don't know why we think they're going to come down. There's a chance that the rates may never come back down.
Because that was an anomaly.
It was an anomaly.
To be in the 3s and 4s.
Well, do you know how we got there?
Yes, COVID had something to do with it.
No, it was way before. So this all started from coming out of 2008, and basically the market crashed. And in order for the Feds to stimulate the economy, what they do is they lower the interest rates. And when they lower the Feds, let's back up for a second, just for those who don't follow this. The Feds don't lower the interest rates at your bank. What they do is they lower what's called the benchmark rate, and that's the rate that banks use between themselves to borrow money. And so banks every night have to balance out their books based on what they've lent out, what they've taken in, and they will borrow from each other. And so the Feds give what's called a benchmark rate, which is also what's known as the Fed window, where you can borrow money from the Fed to balance your books at the end of the night. So This rate, though, is largely followed in the mortgage, and it kind of dictates what the 10-year Treasury yield is going to do. The Treasury yield then usually goes up and down based on the benchmark rate, so it all flow together. Mortgages are 2 to 3% above a 10-year Treasury yield, right? And we talked about this last episode, which is the reason a 30-year mortgage is tied to a 10-year Treasury yield is because a homeowner typically moves or refinances within 7 years, right? So if you're an investor, you're saying, I'm going to lock up my money for a 5 to 10 year period. You're looking at a 10-year Treasury. You're looking at a 30-year mortgage. Where do you put your money? The 30-year mortgage is going to provide you a higher yield, but it's going to be more risk averse, right? Because you can obviously have foreclosure and you can have some losses in your in purchasing those bonds, as in 2008, where when the bonds failed because more than 8 or 10 or 15% of the bonds failed out of the full pool of mortgages, right? So it basically renders the bond useless and the investor loses their money. Treasury is guaranteed, right? You're going to get it back. If you don't get your Treasury money back in 10 years, you have a much larger issue. The United States government has failed, is probably we're no more, so that would be an issue. And so it's often said that the U.S. Treasury is the safest place to invest. And so that becomes the benchmark, right, of what's happening. So when the economy...
Now, what makes the 10-year Treasury go up and down?
Up and down is demand. Demand, right? So when there's less demand for Treasury yields, then the Treasury will have to increase their rate to entice people to buy it. Why does the
when people get out of the stock market?
Well, okay, so let's go back a second. Why do people buy, or why does the Treasury offer 10-year, 2-year, and 10-year notes? Why do they offer them? Because they need money to pay their debt. And have you noticed we have a massive national debt, right? We're teetering, God knows, bankruptcy. So
no, we just print more money.
As the debt matures, such as somebody else's 10-year Treasury yield, the Treasury needs money to pay that off, and so they sell more Treasury notes. And so when there's not enough buyers in the market, they increase the rate of return to entice buyers. When buyers flee the market and they want to put their money into safe haven, they go into the Treasury will drop because, hey, I don't have to pay as much because I have so many people wanting to buy my product, right? And so it's kind of the same.
So it's high right now, meaning no one wants to buy it?
Yeah, because people are putting their money. Well, gold has been up and down, but right now the stock market still looks attractive, which I think is a little bit of smoke and mirrors. We have some things out there, but the stock market is still good. So the Treasury is having to increase their rate, and what's happening is then people are, wanting to come back to it because the rate is higher, right? So it's like anything else. You have something for sale, nobody wants it, you lower the price, people want it, you have a bunch of people, you increase the price, less people buy, but you make more money because although you're selling less, your margin is bigger in each unit, right? And so it's kind of the same process.
Okay,
got it. After 2008, the economy collapses. So what the Treasury does is, and we kind of saw this after 2001 as well, after 9/11, when we saw the economy was going into a downward spiral because tragic things happen to make people say, I don't know what's happening. And we'll get to the Israel war in a second because that is a huge thing that's happening in our market. What the Feds do is they lower the interest rate, and when they lower the interest rate, essentially what's happening is they're making money cheaper. And while the individual consumer may not necessarily feel that, businesses can borrow. Home loans are cheaper. People will buy houses. Businesses will borrow money. Because businesses are borrowing money, they'll hire more people. People will have paychecks. People will go out and spend into the market, right? And so there goes the flow of money, right? So if everybody today says, I'm committed to going out and spending $2,000 at the mall, guess what? Our economy would take off, right? Because all of a sudden you have stores getting all this new revenue. They're hiring people, and it's just a cycle.
I'm willing to make that commitment.
Well, yeah, great. The problem is when you have too many people buying, prices start going up, and that's what we call a hot market, and we start having inflation. So if you're selling, you're selling couches, for example, in your store, and all of a sudden you have 1,000 people that want it, what are you going to do? You're going to raise the price because you can't meet the demand of 1,000 people. You raise the price. Some people fall off, others will continue to buy. There goes inflation.
I wish that was a scenario.
I know, right? So then once you have the prices are really high, the Fed says, okay, inflation is too much. And so what is too much? A good economy is 2-3% inflation a year is what normally happens, meaning prices today are going to be higher than they were a few years back, right? So people say all the time, oh, houses were more affordable in the 40s. You could buy a house for, $15,000.
It's all relative.
It is relative because you may have only made $8,000 at your work or $5,000 a year at your work, right? So it is relative. We're not really counting apples for apples. So things get too expensive. Inflation hits, gas gets high, eggs get high, milk gets high. Things that you buy on a normal basis gets high. So the Fed say, okay, in order to bring down inflation, we'll raise the rate, we'll make the cost of money more expensive. And what that does is that actually stalls the economy. It actually forces companies to start laying off. This is all by design. And because people are laying off, people are being tight with their money, they're not spending it. Stores aren't selling things for as much as they were not selling the same volume, right? What do in response? They say, I need to lower the price in order to attract. And that's how you bring down.
Okay.
But there's a thing called stagflation that no one ever knows about because it really only happened in the 70s. So stagflation is the Fed. We know the Fed has a tool up and down with the interest rates that can kind of control the movement of money, control the economy. But what happens when the Feds raise rates but prices keep going up?
Stagflation?
That's stagflation. That's exactly what stagflation is. That means things are getting way more expensive and the cost of money is getting way more expensive, and the Feds freak out because they don't really know what to do with that. And that's kind of what their economists are starting to fear is going to happen, because even though they've raised the rates 8% on a mortgage, things are expensive. They just said that retail sales for the month of September were double what was expected. Double.
Retail sales?
Retail sales came in double what was expected. So Wall Street was great. Stock goes up. Dow goes up because things are still doing good. Question is why are retail sales double when you ask yourself everything's so damn expensive?
We did have a good,
Well, we had a okay.
September?
No, September was low. October has been
September.
September.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, what happens when there's free money?
People spend it.
So we still have people. You have a gnat flying around here. I think I got him. You still have people up to the second quarter of this year still getting rent assistance through COVID.
Yeah, probably.
Well, and according to the feds, $5.5 billion has been spent helping homeowners who were on a COVID forbearance bring their mortgage current. And so what happens is people tend to spend the money they don't need to use immediately. And so all that money is free. It's free, right? Oh, the government's making my mortgage payment. The government made my rent payment. And then what do? In return, you go out and you spend your money because we have no savings. Historically, Americans have almost no savings.
Yeah.
The average person can't live past one paycheck, which is really sad. So all these things on a big scale really kind of affect the economy. And so when you start thinking about where are we going in the market, it's there's a lot of things moving that dictate where we're going.
Okay.
So let's just talk about it.
Parlay this into.
We'll parlay it. Well, I don't know. We'll parlay it, but let's talk about.
Okay.
Israel's in war.
Okay.
And this is a hot
Really
topic.
pivoted.
Nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody wants to talk about this.
Well,
But
a lot of
last
people
time
are talking about it. I think.
yeah, but well, if you say the wrong thing, we're canceled, and our 4 listeners will never follow us ever again. But last time I
Go
checked,
Israel. That's right.
Israel is in the Middle East.
Yes.
Saudi Arabia is now getting involved with Iran, and I'm not being political. What I'm pointing out is who pumps a lot of oil? Saudi Arabia. Who leads the oil cartel? Saudi Arabia. Who is now getting involved with Iran, stepping away from the table and kind of snubbing the U.S.? Saudi Arabia. And so what's happening is we're having conflict in the Middle East, and people are nervous because they know that means gas prices can go up. Are we going to get into a war? And so you're trying to get a listing, and people are nervous to make a move because they don't know what. There's a lot of things happening at the moment, then people don't know what's happening, and so they're getting nervous, and they're kind of basically staying put, and that's causing further issues in the market. No, it is, because they're not sure. Are we going to get into a Middle East war? And God knows those things never end. So all these things have an impact, and now everybody's waiting for the oil to have an impact, because if there's uprising in the area, oil ships coming out of the Middle East are going to be delayed, going to be expensive. There's going to be all kinds of issues with that. So it's just another pressure on already what we're experiencing right now post-pandemic in the market. And so I think that's something that agents kind of need to be looking at. Any business owner needs to be looking at, thinking about how are they navigating that, how are they addressing that, how are they getting their house in order to kind of knuckle down and survive past these pivotal moments. Take a vacation.
There's a lot of things happening.
Take a vacation.
Take a vacation.
So let's talk about vacation rentals.
Okay.
Canada is experiencing inflation. The biggest customer to vacation rentals in Southern California, especially the desert, is who?
The Canadians.
The Canadians.
Snowbirds.
The snowbirds. They're staying less. They are staying less, but they are experiencing some hardship. But we are seeing people wanting to still come out, so that's been positive.
People are still coming out. Well, okay, so we came to this topic originally. I can't remember how we.
I'm just going to point out, Janice told me that I need to speak more on the economy because
you really spoke a lot.
She said go on a rant because she said we get thousands of
goodness.
views on when I talk about this.
So
I told her I would work it in.
Originally, this very nice man came to see us, and he was going to buy a investment property in Palm Springs or that area, and he was a lender too, so he was in the industry, and he was pretty matter of fact, yes, I'm gonna buy a property in Palm Springs, and it's gonna be a vacation rental, and I'm gonna rent it for 3 months to this group and 3 months to that group.
Did he have the group?
And 3 months to another group, and then maybe a month it'll just be mine, right?
Did he already have these groups?
No, he didn't. This was just theory.
Oh, this is I'm going to put it out there, and I'm just going to get
Well,
these
he just
people.
assumed, so it was I'm going to do the traveling nurses. They'll for sure take up at least 3 months or so, and then I'll get the snowbirds from Canada. That's another good 3 to 4 months. And then I'll get, who knows what, for a month or two. And then there'll be a couple months for me. So he had kind of all planned out, this vacation rental that he was going to buy with a bunch of partners. And it was just one unit.
Was this how he's mapping his ROI?
That's how he's kind of mapping his ROI. And I'm always the dream killer, right? Because I'm okay, well... and he was really only planning to buy a small condo, in a random area, not even on a golf course or anything like that. So
sounds desirable.
So I was just telling him
sign me up for 3 months.
I was just look, because we have a lot of experience with vacation rentals, I'm gonna say. We have a pretty large portfolio in Palm Desert, and we have some single families in Palm Springs and other areas. So, I was just telling him okay, so that's fine and dandy, but you can't count on that.
Yeah.
You can't count on any of that because it may not happen. So at the end of the day, you have to be able to just assume, maybe I'd say count on 3 months tops, but the rest is up for grabs as far as the seasonal rentals.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's you can't force your ROI projections and say this is what's going to happen. You're just guessing that you're going to get that. How do
We're
you know?
assuming that that's always like
Yeah.
a demand that you can
Well,
capture.
I see that a lot on. Well, you can get a loan for a vacation rental based on these fake assumptions.
Yeah, like AirDNA. They look at AirDNA,
Yeah.
which is a website.
And it just says, "Oh, this is what you can get," and so they're actually writing loan. I mean, can you talk
which
about?
is kind of
Can you talk about
dangerous.
like New Century subprime loans?
I know.
I mean, that's going to be bad. Well, there's somebody I was working with that has 2 or 3 homes in Joshua Tree, which is very popular.
Super saturated.
Super saturated. He said he was quitting his job. He was getting married. Him and his wife were quitting their job because he had 3 rentals. Three rentals. And actually he wanted a bid for us to do some work on it, but he didn't want to pay
Wonder
more.
how those are doing.
He wanted to renovate the whole place, but he wanted to spend no more than $15,000 renovating it. So
Again, the dream.
the dream. So it's just unrealistic. And people say, no, I got these Airbnbs. I'm doing great. Okay, whatever. Come talk to me 3 years from now and tell me how great you're doing. I just don't see that being. I see that being a bad idea. Like,
I mean, in California, I mean, obviously every area is probably different, but there's so much competition. I mean, I know we have a property in Lake Arrowhead, and during COVID, so many people bought properties in Lake Arrowhead.
But look at you when you buy a vacation rental. One, you should buy a vacation rental with the idea that you're going to use it. So there's value to that. Obviously,
yes, your friends, family.
Yeah, you using the vacation rental, you're not going to receive any money on it. But guess what? You're not going to another house and spending money elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
So don't buy into
value.
don't go buy into a timeshare. Those are all waste of money. Buy an actual house that you own, right? So hey, I'm going to use it.
Yes.
Then know that you're going to travel, and you're going to leverage that property to travel and get accommodations elsewhere around the world, and you can do with third home, and there's other sites that do that. So those are immediate things that you need. A lot of times people will buy a vacation rental when they're in their 40s, and they'll say, this is where I want to retire, but I'm obviously in my 40s, I'm not ready to retire, and this is a great way to do it. So you're using it for your own travel, for your own stay.
Yeah, it's a long-term investment.
Then you're subsidizing it with short-term rental. But the idea that you're going to buy a house in the desert and you're going to cash flow around year-round on this property,
yeah, that's not going to happen.
No, I'm that's BS. And anybody who says it does that, I want to see it. And
I have not seen that at all.
No, and you're gonna say, "Whoa, I got these." People are gonna say, "I got the house in Palm Springs. I get weekends." Okay, that is very true. Weekends. It's expensive. Your house is probably most of those homes are beat. They have a lot of upkeep, which deferred maintenance never happens. No one ever does anything to those homes.
I know.
We stayed in one.
They do get beat, and
they're falling apart. They look great in pictures.
You get beat down in price too.
Yeah, Airbnb puts you on, what do they call that?
Smart pricing.
Smart pricing. So it's a race to the bottom to see who's going to pay. You do anything wrong, you get fined. So I'm just saying that if you're really looking at it as a business, people who tell you I'm making cash flow off of a short-term rental, I'm going to say they're probably not, because they're probably not upgrading their property. Like, we're constantly adding new furniture. We're upgrading. So if you've come to our property multiple times, every year you come, maybe for a month or whatever, generally guests go, oh, there's something new here. We're constantly improving it like a hotel. People who are not doing this to their property, they're letting it be run into the ground and they're just sucking every dollar out of it. That's not a real representation of an investment. I just think that's...
No, but I mean, I think ultimately, though, you have to be realistic about how much you're actually going to rent this thing.
Yeah.
And, I was also telling the guy that, like, well, you might not think the most pivotal part of owning a vacation rental is literally the housekeeping.
Yes, because that's the most...
If you don't have a housekeeper, you're screwed. Obviously, if you can't turn the unit, then you can't rent it.
Yeah, and there's a difference between a housekeeper comes to your house once a week and someone who's coming to clean your property because there was a guest there, right? So they bring in a crew. And
they can turn it in a couple hours
and
totally multiple times a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have a normal housekeeper who, like, goes to this person's on Wednesday, this person's on Thursday. No, they have to be kind of on call.
They're
So totally different type of business.
Specifically for that. So I mean, look at. I think that vacation rentals are great investments, and I always tell people like they're great investments because you're buying in a desirable vacation area. You're buying in the desert. You're buying by the beach. You're buying in the mountains. You're buying in an area
you're actually going to go to.
But exactly. But you have to build in the factor that you're using it. There is value in
There's
you
value
using
to that.
So
you can use it for your business, for your employees, friends and family. I mean, there's a lot of different uses.
no, absolutely.
But you cannot count on renting it 9 months out of the year.
No,
that just doesn't happen.
I would just, you can't count on that. I mean, maybe weekends, Palm Springs, you get party, but then when you look at the actual cost of maintenance and actually if you were to keep that property in actually good shape, those numbers would be a lot different than somebody who says, I have a vacation rental out there. I don't, there's two ways of looking at it. I like to think that if you're going to have a vacation rental, you want it to be nice.
Yeah, well, it should be nicer than your average house because, look,
I think like Four Seasons nice.
When people go on vacation, they want to be at least, okay, when I go on vacation, I want to be in a nicer place than where I am every day.
Correct.
Right? I don't want to sit on your, like, secondhand, grandma's sofa that,
you bought it at a garage sale or...
People just think like, oh, when stuff gets old in my real house, I'll throw it in the vacation rental, and that's not cool.
No, that's not. So, okay, so let's talk about the Valley. So if you're thinking about investing in Coachella Valley, if you're looking at Palm Springs, that's typically the more partier market. If you're younger,
the weekend market,
Palm Springs is where the younger kids go. If you're looking for a little bit older, mature crowd, family-oriented, they want to come, relax by the pool, upscale. Now you're looking at Palm Desert, Rancho Mirage, those areas. And now when you look at the whole market, you say, okay, you have what's called the shoulder months. So right now we're in the shoulder months, October, November, December.
October through December, shoulder,
is
meaning
December. And
it's not high season. It's kind of like holiday.
And the reason I say it is it's still hot out there, not super hot. So like we're going to go.
The weather's great.
The weather's great. We have to put our pool heater on because right now the pool's a little chilly. So even though it's still hitting sometimes 100 degrees, it gets cooler at night.
You want your pool at like 80. So 88.
Yeah, so those are kind of the shoulder months. And then you have January, February, March. Those are prime months. And those are prime months. And it's not to say that it's always hot out there. It does get cold and raining sometimes. But
once in a while.
Typically, you're going to get sunshine, 75 degrees. And if you're in those Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert area, and you're in the southern portion, you don't have a lot of wind. It's really desirable. It's nice. And then you have your...
festival.
Then you have your festival period,
April.
Which kind of runs, which is again your shoulder months, and April, May is kind of again it starts warming up, but you have your festival period, and we do really well. I know we rent to a lot of actual staff for the festival, and then after that you're in your summer months where it's baking hot, and in reality, those homes were, especially Palm Springs, they were never designed to be occupied in the summertime. And so if you're going to use it, like I love our home in the summertime, we have a pool chiller. Mm-hmm. We have a great air conditioning unit. Our house is great. It's 110 outside. My pool is, 78 degrees. It feels like we're at the river.
Palm Desert doesn't allow short-term rentals less than 28 nights.
Yeah.
So in Palm Desert, you can't really capitalize on the weekend crowds like you could in Palm Springs, unless you do it on the down low.
Yeah, I mean, which we don't.
So that's when we use it. So we end up using it in the summer.
We use it in the summer.
Which is fine.
I like it in November, December, kind of our favorite times of the year to use it.
Holiday.
We tend to rent it for 3 to 4 months a year, consistently on it. And those 3 to 4 months, I would say, probably pay for 75% of our ownership, right? So here I have 75% of my ownership kind of covered, and the rest of the time it's for me to use, but we trade it. We go to, we're constantly traveling around the world.
Costa Rica, Cabo.
And when we stay in places, we're staying in owner villas at the Four Seasons, really nice places. So there's a lot of value when it comes to that. So I think those are great, but in order for you to maximize your investment, you have to say, hey, I want to go to this. One, I want to go to the house. I want to use the house. And
That's key.
using is what keeps it nice, because when no one uses it, it's old and they can care less.
When you use it, your eyes are on it. You're
Yeah.
sleeping in the beds, using the sheets, so you tend to keep it nicer.
Exactly. And then using it to leverage it to travel, I think is probably the next best thing.
Huge.
I mean, I like that better than buying stock and say like Microsoft, because I mean, they don't give you anything for the stock. I mean, maybe you get a dividend, but here you get to actually use your investment, enjoy your investment, share your investment, make memories from your investment, which I think is really huge.
And go to places you probably would have never paid for. Like when we go to Four Seasons, Costa Rica.
Yeah, I would never pay for that.
That place is like $5,000 a night.
No, it was more than that. We looked it up. It was for the weekends. It was $13,000 a night. I'm not going to pay that.
But we just have to give up.
But
it's
a
week or two.
Here's the thing. It's like business class or first class on an airplane. Most people that you see sitting in those seats do not pay for those seats. They use points or some system to get in there. Very few people actually pay those ridiculous prices to get to that. So just so you know, when you're stuffing your ass into coach and going, how do those people get up there? Because they have points on some system. We leverage
credit card, Amex.
Yeah, we leverage our Amex. We put everything we can on it just to generate points. We buy the ticket for coach, and then we use the points to upgrade. That's how you get the maximum amount. If you want to know how to do that, go to pointsguy.com. That website is awesome. Tells you every credit card, every airline, how to leverage that. But really, what I'm saying is, people who are experiencing luxury, they're usually not paying what you think they're
paying for it.
No, they're usually not. They're usually not.
It's true. If you're paying for it, you're probably a sucker.
Yeah. So, that was a great diversion from,
I don't even know. Did we make a point?
we talked about the economy, but I know you want to talk about vacation rentals, so we kind of got that in there.
Okay. I mean, we can talk about it again.
This is what happens when we record 2 hours late and we drink a bunch of wine beforehand.
Okay, so bottom line, what's the bottom line?
There's no bottom line. The bottom line is we're screwed. The market's slow.
So the bottom line is the market's going to be slow for probably a while, for sure the rest of the year, because it's already, is it October? Oh yeah, it's already October. So it's October. Just forget the rest of the year. It's probably going to suck. Real estate agents and brokers. And
because you come in a slow time anyways. As you get into the fourth quarter, it's normally slow and not this slow.
This is the time though that you should be looking into diversifying. Reaching out to people,
educating yourself.
You haven't talked to in a while.
What you should be doing is educating yourself on new products, new services that you can offer, educating yourself on the market,
such as property management,
so you can sound intelligent when you're talking to your client. You should have some sense.
Take this time to learn.
You should have some sense of what's going on in the world around you, not just, hey, I'm Barbie from Century 21 and I'm going to list your home. Like nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
Like have.
Take this time to, look at all the different options that somebody has as opposed to selling. Property management is one of them.
But you got to get creative. You got to get creative. You got to figure out how you're going to make your business, your career move forward. Because like we always say, the house will continue to be there no matter what is happening in the economy.
And you have to be able to capitalize on each type of market, right?
Yes, you have to. And if you don't, you're going to be stuck. And what you did in the past, and if you're an agent that's been in the business for, say, 10 years, 15 years, you're in a market that you've never seen before, right? Because you've come in post 2008.
And if you're an agent who's been skating through because it's easy in California, this is where the pedal hits the metal.
Yeah.
And we see what kind of agent you really are and how creative you are and if your business is going to live through this season.
Yeah, well, a lot of agents, unfortunately, will not live through this season. This season will kill them. So the other agents that are sticking it out and grinding it out.
Survival of the fittest.
You will have...
Which is, I love that.
Well, you want the other... Look, if you're an agent, you want the other agents to drop out, right? You're a store, you want the other stores to go out of business. That's just kind of how the world works. Nobody says, hey, I want more competition. Hey, I want... my homeowner that I'm calling on? Oh, I want 54 other people to call them too. No, of course not. You want to be the only one.
You want to smash them.
So,
This is the time.
Yeah.
Okay, we better go.
All right, we're out. See you guys next week. Late.
Bye.
Hey guys, this is Damien. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed listening to us ramble about real estate and property management. Don't forget to check out all our social media and visit our website for wholesale property management. You can find the link in the bio. If you have topics, questions, or crazy situations you want us to talk about, send us a message. See you on the next episode of ModTalk.